Hi guys. Hope you guys are doing well. This week we are going to start a new project that has to do with Ruth Bader Ginsburg. You may or may not have heard of her, but she was a Supreme Court Justice, and she just passed away this week. So I thought we would do something to kind of honor her, sort of a tribute. So what we're doing, I have this here. This is a collar. Similar to a collar that she used to wear. She used to wear a black robe and would usually wear a white collar like around her neck. However, she had different collars for different purposes. And this was called her dissent collar, which she would wear if her opinion differed from the other people on the court, from the Supreme Court. If they voted for something and she disagreed with it, then she would wear her dissent collar. But she's sort of famous for it, and I thought that would be a good project for this week. Okay, so the supplies that you guys need, you need a pencil and an eraser, a separate eraser. You also need your Sharpie and just some watercolor. Okay, so we're going to start with our basic drawing. We're going to do our guidelines like we did last week. So we're going to do a real soft line that goes straight down, and a real soft line that goes side to side. Okay, now the first part that we're going to do is this part right here of it's going to be this part, the outer part of this kind of U shape for her necklace. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to start at our center point and go out about 2 inches. So here would be about 1 inch, this would be about 2 inches, and make a little dot. Same thing on this side. Go out about 1 inch, then about 2 inches, and make a little dot. Then we're going to go halfway down from our midline to the bottom to about right here, about halfway, and make another little dot. And that's going to be this point, and this point. Okay, so now we're going to draw our U. Now, again, I always sort of sketch when I'm first starting with little short lines. You don't have to. You could just draw a quick U. But I kind of do this so I can kind of correct and change my shape as I go along. So something like that. Then we are going to go inside up here about, I don't know, 1/4 of an inch or so. And then we're going to go down and do the exact same curve. There, like that. Okay, then the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to do this jeweled part of the collar. Now these are actually like rhinestones. They're shiny little stones that are in here. And there are black ones and there are white ones. So I used a gray watercolor to make mine black, and I left the white ones plain. But the first one that we're going to do is right smack in the middle, right here. So we're going to start right here in the middle and make sure that we have it centered on our center line. And I don't know, we're going to go down about something like that. Okay, this is not an exact science, but something like that. Then we're going to have, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Is that right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, so 11 other ones to the side. And the way that it works is you're going to have the long one that we just did, then a little bit shorter, a little bit longer, a little bit shorter, and go back and forth with that pattern. Okay, so let me just do that right here. And you can pause this if you want. I'm probably going to stop taping because you don't need to watch me do these little tassel thingies. Just do 11 on each side, shorter and then longer, and go all the way around on both sides. Okay, so that's 11 on that side, and now we'll do 11 on this side. We're going to try to make it symmetrical, but just do the best you can. Okay, so there's 11 on each side. Now, I don't know about yours, but mine's not quite perfect. It could use a little bit of cleaning up, but for right now, I'm going to go ahead and leave it. I am going to get my eraser though and erase my guidelines. And maybe just a little bit of that dot that I had there and up here as well, if your dot's kind of standing out a little bit much. I'm going to erase that as well. Okay. I am going to clean up my lines just a little tiny bit. If I see something that is really bothering me, I'll go ahead and clean it. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and draw all these little circles. We're going to start with our one in the middle again, and it has, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, about 7 little circles. We're going to start up at the top and try to make 7. If you go over that or a little bit under that, that's fine. But we're going to shoot for something about 7. Okay, now what I want you to do is go up every other one and do the same thing. Okay, so like I'm going to skip this one and I'll do this one instead. Okay, so now I have all of my solid ones in, and you know what, mine are different numbers. On this one here, I was very careful to try to make it exact and have the same amount. You can do that or not, whatever works for you. Just fill in the space the best that you can. Now on these shorter ones, we're going to change it a little bit because we're going to start down at the bottom. We're going to do 4 bigger circles and then smaller circles all the way up. So 4 big, and then a bunch of smaller ones. Okay, so there's all of our circles. Now we need to put some circles in here. I'm going to start with our one that's right smack in the center. And then after that, we're just going to try to space them out evenly and put about 10 on each side. You know what? I only got 8 that time. That's okay. Okay, so those are all of our jewels. Now we're going to do this ribbon. What I'm going to have you do is we're going to start on one side of the ribbon. So we're going to start like right here. We're going to go up a little, and then curve over. And then we're going to go up and curve down and go back up off the page. Okay. Now this one here, we're going to cross over this line a few different times to make it look like the ribbon is bending, like right here and right here. So we're going to go up, and we're going to get real close to the other line, but we're not going to cross it. And then we're going to go up again, and this time we are going to cross this line. Go up like that, and around, and we're going to cross the line again, down here. Go up and around and cross it one more time. Now if you don't get this exactly the same as mine, that's totally okay. Okay, on this one we're going to start on the, actually I'm going to start on the left side. I'm going to go up and in a little bit and over, up to our ribbon. I'm going to go up and back down. And then up and around like that. Okay. Now again, when I do the other side, whenever you see them come close together like that, there's 4 times that I'm actually going to cross the other line. So let's go up, we'll have it nice and wide, and then get thinner, and then get wide again, and then we're going to cross right there. And go up on this other side, and then we're going to cross again up here. Go down, and cross there, and make the end of our little ribbon. Okay, and that's how she would tie that around her neck. So this would show up on the front, and then she would tie this behind her neck. Okay, so that's our basic drawing. At this point, I want you to get your Sharpie, your thin Sharpie. Actually, I guess it doesn't matter. If you have a sharper, if you have a wider Sharpie, that might be easier to cover the space quickly. I'll leave that up to you, what you guys have. I know that in your kits that I gave you, you all have a small Sharpie, a fine point, like this tip is really small here. So I know that there's one of those for each of you in your kit, but your parents might have some that are a little bit wider. And if you would like to go ahead and use a wider one, that would be fine too. Okay, now sort of like what we did last week, I'm going to go right over top of my pencil marks. I'm going to ink this whole thing in. Okay, so I'm not going to make you guys watch me ink this whole thing in because it's going to take me a little while. So I'm going to say for you to go ahead and pause the video, and then you go back in and go over all of your pencil lines with Sharpie. If there are any pencil lines that you don't like on mine, I got a little messy here, or this curve isn't quite the way I want it, that's okay. You don't need to fix it with the pencil, but now's the time when you can go in and fix it with your Sharpie. So I just might not trace over it perfectly if I don't like how it looks in certain spots. Okay, so go ahead and pause this and come back when you are done tracing over all of your pencil lines, okay? Okay guys, so I just finished going over my pencil marks with my Sharpie. I don't know if you guys can see it on the video or not, but there are places down here where I didn't go over the pencil marks at all because I didn't like where they were, so I sort of redid it as I went along. Now I'm going to have you guys get out your big pink eraser and gently erase all of the pencil marks. Okay, you don't need to do the whole page, but wherever you can actually see the pencil from around the Sharpie, go ahead and erase that. Okay, I'm going to have you pause the video again while you erase that and then come back, okay? Okay guys, so I just erased all of my pencil marks, and here I am with my inked in collar. Now I'm going to give you guys a choice. You can basically leave the collar like this if you want to. Okay, that was my original plan. But then I actually looked up what her collar looked like because I initially thought it was white. Usually she would wear a black gown and a white collar. But this particular collar is actually black. So I went ahead and colored mine in, but let me tell you that it does take a while. So if you would like to color yours in, let me show you how I did mine. I took a thicker Sharpie, but again, your thinner one would be fine if you wanted to. And what I did was I outlined all of my circles. So as you can see, this is going to take a little bit of time. Maybe what you could also do, if you don't want to do it right now, is maybe go and finish the rest of this, and then you can come back later during the week or another time and color it in black. It's up to you. If you don't mind sitting and drawing for a while, it's kind of relaxing. You can put some music on in the background. You could even put the TV on in the background for a little bit if you wanted to, maybe. Because this could take you a little bit of time to go in and draw all of this. So if you wanted to, you could put me on pause and then go somewhere else and color this in. And essentially what I did was I colored everything in except for our round gemstones. Okay. So, just start with one and then go to the next one. Now I do the circles around them first because I don't want to accidentally draw inside of my circle, and this kind of helps to protect it so that I don't go over the outline. So I do the circles first and then around the edges. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm not going to finish that right this second. I'm just going to finish out this one. And if you would like to go ahead and finish it out, like I said, please go ahead and pause this and finish coloring and come back when you're done or when you're ready to go on to the next part. So I do all of this. I do this part here. Again, I went around my circles first and my outline, and I did this part, and I also did my ribbons up here. Okay, being very careful where they overlap to make sure that I don't go outside of my line. Okay, so I'm going to leave this. I hope that's okay with you, but you have this as an example. So color in all of the black as you see fit. Now we're going to go on to this quote. Speak your mind even if your voice shakes. So that kind of means, don't be afraid to say what you're feeling or what you're thinking or what you know to be true, even if you're a little bit nervous about saying it. Go ahead and speak your mind. And I thought that was a nice quote. So I'm going to go ahead and write that in. I'm going to use my very best handwriting. You could also kind of draw your letters. I did not this time. I normally would, I think, try to draw them out real fancy. I just used my very best handwriting. Another thing that you could do if you wanted to is that you could typeset it on the computer. and print it out. You know, make sure that it's only this size and print it out, and then you could cut it out and glue it into that spot. You know, if you really don't like your handwriting and you want it to look nice, I think that would be perfectly acceptable. I'm going to do my best here to do just a nice print. Speak your mind. And I'm doing mine with all initial caps. I don't know why. That means the first letter of every word is capitalized, except for if, because if is too little of a word to capitalize. Even if your voice shakes. And then I'll put my period and my closed quotation marks. Okay? And then smaller, I want to write her name down here. So I'm going to write Ruth Bader and Ginsburg underneath. Ginsburg is Ginsburg. And she was born in 1933. And she passed away just this week in 2020. So I'm going to go like that. Okay. It is kind of bothering me that I don't have this all colored in. But that's okay. I don't want to waste the time right now. I'll just do a tiny little bit more. So I'm kind of using these ties as a border for her words. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to use watercolor. You could also use your chalk pastels or really anything, but I used a little bit of watercolor to go around the edge of her words. And then also on her actual collar, every other row actually had kind of a black type of a jewel. Okay, so I just did a gray on all the ones that were longer, and the shorter ones I left white. You guys may have just seen my great big bandage on my arm. I had an accident this week and got mixed in with a little bit of poison ivy. So I have been a little itchy and miserable this week. I hope you guys have had a better week than I have, but I've got my arm bandaged up because it's in pain at the moment. So what I'm doing is I'm just using a really watered down color. I used purple. You guys could use whatever color you want. I used purple, and I'm going to try not to get it on the collar, at least definitely not in the rhinestones. But I'm going to go around the edge, just to kind of give it a background so that it's not just floating in space. Let's see if I can hold this. Oh, and you guys do have a different type of watercolor than I have. I forget what brand I have, but yours look really nice. I haven't used yours yet. I bought a set for myself as well, but they looked really nice. So you'll have to let me know if you like them or how they work for you. So I'm going to use the side of my brush. Oh, and you guys have a smaller brush. If you have a bigger brush at home, feel free to use a bigger brush like the one that I'm using. I forgot that your watercolor kits came with those skinny little brushes. That might be good for detail work, but for big areas like this, a bigger brush would probably be better. And if you don't have one, you know what, maybe you don't even want to use watercolor. Maybe you want to do chalk pastel and rub it in, kind of real softly as a nice little background. That would be fine also. So I'm going to color in these two little holes that we made with our ribbon. I debated that, but after debating it, I decided it looked better if I went ahead and filled it in. So when you're done, the only white space should be this here where the words are, and the shorter rows of the gemstones or whatever they are. Okay, so I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to take my black. I'm going to water my black down, because I don't want these things to disappear entirely. And I'm going to start right in the middle, and then I'm going to go on every other row and do the black. Now obviously you can't do it the way that I'm doing it if you plan to leave her collar white. If you want to leave her collar white, you know what I would recommend almost is just going in with a marker, a Crayola marker, and coloring in some of these stones to make them look gray. I am going to go back in eventually and Sharpie all the rest of this. So what I'm going to do is let this dry. And then when it's dry, I'll go over it with a Sharpie. And I'll show you guys the finished version of this one as well. Add a little bit more water. If it starts to get dry and doesn't go on smoothly, just add a little bit more water. There we go. Okay, and also these stones that go around the rim are also black. Again, I don't want to make them pure black or else they won't show up against our Sharpie. So they're going to end up kind of gray. Okay. So when it is all said and done, after you've watercolored or chalk pasteled and Sharpied everything in, this is basically what it should look like. So thank you guys. I hope that you guys enjoyed this assignment. I saw the work that you did of the portrait of Ruth Bader Ginsburg, and I thought they were excellent. So I thought this would kind of complement that, but not be the exact same thing. So I hope you enjoyed this, and have a good week, and I'll see you guys next time, okay? Take care. Bye.